Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hobby Journals. I am Carolyn, and today we are going to be talking about the, I think, 15 books that I have read so far this fall. Obviously got a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. So the first book that I read this month was actually Annihilation by Vandermeer. It is the first in a trilogy, a science fiction trilogy. Actually, because we're talking about so many books, I'm actually just going to pop the Goodreads description up on the screen for you here around this area, just so that this doesn't get extremely long, because I already think that we're in for a pretty long video as it is. I'm not going to be going through what each book is about. You can just read about that here, and a lot of these are so popular that I don't even think that they will need a description. So back to Annihilation. So I gave this book, sorry, I have some notes here to reference so I don't forget anything. I'm going to sit with a 3.5. Originally I'd rated it a 4-star, but I think the more that I sit with it, I don't really think about it very much. I did really enjoy the book. That's why, 3.5 is still a good rating. But it just definitely wasn't my favorite. I would think that only like a couple weeks or even days were passing, and all of a sudden it was referencing months later, and I was just a bit confused on the timeline. So yeah, I gave this one a 4.25, and I am very excited to see where the rest of the series goes. And next up, I started the Harry Potter series. Um, and I am loving it. This is my first time reading the books. I have seen the movies many times. I thought that I would kind of group them all together. I did split them up throughout the past 2 months. I've been listening to them mostly in audiobook form. It is narrated by Jim Dale, and like my friend said a couple weeks ago when I was discussing the books with her, because she read them when she was younger and she's a huge fan of the series, she likes to consider Jim Dale the author instead of beep redacted. I'm not even going to say her name. We don't love her, but we do love this world that she's created. But we're just going to pretend that Jim Dale created it because he is an amazing audiobook narrator. I think that my favorite way to consume this franchise is now the audiobooks narrated by Jim Dale. He does an incredible job. I don't know what to say about it other than you should check them out if you haven't already. But I'll just go quickly through my thoughts on each book separately real quick. So the first book I gave a 4 stars, as well as the second book. They're not my favorite movies, and also definitely not going to be my favorite in the series. Great setup, so magical, so wonderful, but just not quite a 5-star read. Just nice 4-star experience. And then we get into The Prisoner of Azkaban, which is my favorite movie. The third and the fourth are my favorite movies for sure. I really loved, once you get to the third book, you do start to have a lot of differences between the movies and the books. You get so much more character work, character development. Things make so much more sense. You dive a lot deeper into the magic system. Even like a lot of characters that you don't get at all in the movies that you get in the books, that I think is just a real misjustice. Like justice for Winky. I don't know why she's the only one I can think of at the top of my head right now, but for real, and Ludo Bagman. Those are the only two that I can think of, but characters that really brought a lot to the books that for some reason were left out. I have rated these, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, all 5 stars. And I cannot wait. Actually, I'm already reading Half-Blood Prince right now, about halfway through. And so really excited to finish the series, but also think I'll be really sad to finish it at the same time. All right, now this next book I'm not really sure how to talk about. I'm not sure how I am rating it. And that is Blind Owl by Sadeq Hedayat. This is an Iranian classic, and it is incredibly dark and pretty disturbing, but gorgeously, gorgeously written. I will say that You definitely need to be in the right headspace if you're going to check this book out. Did kind of put me in a strange headspace, but I did also really enjoy it. You can tell I've got some tabbing going on there. The writing is really gorgeous, and I will say the thing that I had never heard anyone else talk about this book. The cover is obviously very intriguing, super gorgeous. So I picked it up when I saw it in Barnes, and the first sentence just really gripped me. In life, there are wounds that, like termites, slowly bore into and eat away at the isolated soul. And I think that that does give you a nice glimpse into what this book will be like, because it is gorgeous but depressing, and you are experiencing in first person, might I add, the thoughts of someone who is quite literally losing their mind. The timeline of this is incredibly jumbled. The narrator I would call an unreliable narrator. You're really never sure what's true and what's not, what's his imagination. That's really all I can say about this book. I'm not sure if I recommend it, but I think that if you are intrigued, I would give it a shot. So yeah, that is Blind Owl. And next up is something super exciting because I read The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I had not read her previous novel, Dead Romantics. Do a better little shot of this. I am obsessed with this book. I say that if you like magical realism and you like romance, if you like pumpkin chai lattes from Starbucks, if you like, honestly, just like chai lattes in general, if you love walks on a fall day, if you like talking about food, if you like any of those things, ooh, almost dropped it. If you like any of those things, please just check this book out. Or also, if you like the if you like the movie About Time, then you absolutely need to check this out, because I think that this will give you really, really similar feelings, where it's a really beautiful story, time travel element, romance, but it's about more than just romantic love. Topics of grief. I would definitely look up content warnings for this one. I think everything's handled in a really gentle and beautiful way. I don't really have anything negative to say about this book. I absolutely loved it. I loved the writing, I loved the story, and I will definitely be checking out her other book. I've already been on the lookout for it. If you've seen my book haul recently, but they did not have a copy left. Yeah, this is a new all-time favorite for me, which does not get awarded that many books. I've got about 6 books, I think, that have been granted that prize, if you will. So yeah, if you get anything out of this video, I'd say check this out. Oh, and I forgot to say when I was talking about the Harry Potter series that you should check out my Harry Potter vlog, where I read Order of the Phoenix and also played Hogwarts Legacy. So if you're interested in reading and gaming or Harry Potter in general, then definitely check out that video. But to get back into it, the next book that I read was The Cat Who Saved Books, which looks absolutely adorable. It is set in a bookstore, it has a talking cat, and somehow this one still managed to bore me a little bit. I will say there was little bits of wisdom thrown in here that I did appreciate, enjoy. It was sort of a fun read, really short, but it really just missed the mark for me and what I was hoping for when I picked this book up. I gave it a 3-star, I believe. Oh, actually, yeah, 2.75 I gave this one, which, yeah, that seems right. Even though this book is so short, I was just trying so hard to fly through it. Why am I crossing arms like this? She needs to be ready to do this. Just trying to get through it, but it wasn't a bad book, so 2.75, just barely above average for me. And I also wanted to mention that this is my second Japanese translated work that I have been sort of iffy about my feelings towards. The other one was Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I liked that more than I liked this one, but I think that there might be a bit of a disservice to translating books. I love that stories from all over the world can get shared, and I think that's really important, but I also think that there might be something lost when you translate something. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this. Next up was something that was very anticipated for me, and that is A Study in Drowning. This is my gorgeous Illumicrate edition. I have to show you the naked hardcover because it's honestly my favorite naked hardcover maybe ever. Just look at that. Love all these little details. Such a gorgeous book, and the writing is just as gorgeous in my opinion. I gave this one a 4-star. My hopes for this one were maybe a little bit too high. I loved the atmosphere. The romance was cute, but I didn't feel all that connected to it. I wasn't like giggling and kicking my feet or anything, but I did just really enjoy the story, and I love the way that the descriptions of the main character's emotions and just some of the descriptions in general that were of things that were not physical were somehow through the lens of the environment in this. I really don't know how to describe what I'm talking about, but the say that the atmosphere is almost the main character here. It is almost dark fairy tale-esque. I could have done some annotating for sure because the writing is just really gorgeous. It was a little bit slow moving. So yeah, that is A Study in Drowning, and that is a 4-star for me. I do look forward to reading more by Ava Reed. And next up, I read The Graveyard Book, and not only that, but I read it in the graveyard. So if you have not seen the video or I do that, you should definitely check it out. I think my thoughts have changed on it a little bit since then, so I will just give you my updated thoughts, but I won't go too much into this because, like I said, you should just check out that video. I do think that this is sitting more at a 3.75 for me rather than a 4 or 4.25. I really enjoyed it, but I'm not sure. Maybe I do want to give this a 4-star. But the more I think about it, the more that the first half was quite slow moving for me. It took me a while to get connected. I did love the ending. So yeah, go check out the Graveyard Reading Vlog. And then next up is another chance for me to plug a video, and that is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, which is in my most recent video celebrating the 30th anniversary of The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I read the sequel novel, which is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, which is Sally's story. And it picks up right where the movie leaves off. Once again, not going to talk too much about my feelings on this because you can go watch that video if you are interested. But I am also going to give this one a lower rating than I did in that video. The more I have sat with this book, the more that I have seen some little bit of inconsistencies with some of the things that the characters do in this book. And when I think about the movie, don't want to get too specific. And I also think that the ending was actually quite rushed, and some things just didn't quite get closed out in the way that I would hope. I am actually going to give this a 3.5. I still quite enjoyed it because I'm such a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan, but once again, there are quite a few issues with this, and once again, I'm not quite sure if I love middle grade books. And then the last thing that I finished this month, because I do want to talk about two things that I have read but haven't exactly finished. But the last thing I did finish is the Ex-Hex, and I read this for the day of Halloween and the couple days leading up, I believe, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one a 4 stars. It was super cute, perfect for Halloween. I loved the romance, and this has to be the funniest book that I have read this year, if not the funniest book I have ever read. Now I'm wondering if I've actually ever read a true rom-com, because this is the only romantic book I think that I've read that has truly made me like die laughing out loud. Like, it is a little bit of raunchy humor at times, which if you're not into that, I don't think you'll be into this. But yeah, I really loved it. The only thing I can say is that there were times that I was kind of waiting to see, like, okay, let's move on to the next thing. But yeah, nothing that's gonna totally blow you away, I don't think. But I think this is a perfect spooky season read. Absolutely perfect. And now I'm going to go grab the two things that I have not yet finished, technically. So the first is the complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. This is about a gotta be like over 1,000-page book, and these pages are pretty thin. Yeah, over 1,000 pages. So obviously I did not yet finish this. I think it will take me quite a few years to get through all of his works. But I did read a couple of his stories and poems, and I just wanted to pop in to say that I really love Poe. I think that for a classic writer, he is quite easy to digest and understand, even though it can be quite flowery. I think that his poems are pretty easy to digest, and I am not someone who typically loves, but I do really enjoy his. So, yes, if you have not checked out any Edgar Allan Poe, this is the perfect time of year to do it. If you didn't read it in October, November is still definitely the perfect time for Poe. Next, I read about half of A Wolf at the Door and Other Retold Fairy Tales, which is just a bunch of short little retold fairy tales, just like the title says. They were okay. I mostly read this because Neil Gaiman has a piece in here, but I was pretty disappointed that it was only a short little poem type thing, only like a page long. So I'm not sure. Maybe next Halloween time, next October, I will get around to reading the second half of this book, but it was pretty average for me. I'd say maybe a 3 star. They were cute stories. That's about all I can say. Alright, so this is everything that I and I just ran out of storage, so if the angle is different, I'm sorry about that. But yes, that is everything that I have read so far this fall. It's been a very good reading season for me. I hope that you guys have also had a good reading season. Feel free to stick around and check out the other videos that I mentioned, and stay tuned for lots of more fun reading content and a couple other things besides reading, but mostly reading content. I guess with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!